How's it going, everyone? It's Daikin here, finally bring you another DNF Duel video. Today we're going to be talking about the balance patch that came out for DNF Duel. So if you don't know, there was a huge balance patch that overhauled a lot of the characters, giving them a bunch of new tools and changing the system for DNF Duel. So we're going to be breaking down every single character, talking about the new tools they got along with the system changes that came to the game. Starting off with the system changes, first thing we're going to talk about is the dodge roll. The dodge roll now have reduced recovery and is going to have its activation of his invincibility for both hits and projectiles basically on frame 1 now. So this is absolutely crazy, just to showcase what it looks like. As you can see, he was able to roll through the projectile on frame 1 of this recorded slot I have here. If we do another block string, as you can see, completely roll through my button. So now you're definitely going to have to play a different bit of a different game now, because of the possibility that people can just roll out of your frame perfect pressure now. So if you have a meaty on your opponent, they can actually roll through it. So now having setups that can beat rolls along with having meaties is probably going to be something that a lot of people are going to be trying to prioritize for sure. Another huge change to DNF Duel is going to be the guard cancel system. So before, you pretty much will reset back to neutral, but because certain characters have good in tools that they can just come in with, like say Striker with her 6S and stuff, it was very hard for you to press your advantage. Now off guard cancel, you're going to be plus. So I have an example set here for when I guard cancel, she will master her fastest button, which is her 5A like that. But as you can see, we're definitely going to be able to hit her before she can even hit us now. Just like that. So you get a lot more frame advantage off a guard cancel now. Essentially, you are plus and you get to take advantage of the situation and put a meaty on your opponent at the very least. The final system change is addressing the airborne MS moves and the fact that they were not always facing the right way when you actually did them inside the air. So a prime example of this is when Striker does her DP. Sometimes when she crosses on your opponent, when she runs and do it, the JMS would not autocorrect the right way. But now with this change, she would now autocorrect the way she was supposed to go always now. So this is going to be a keen example of how this is going to work. I'm pretty sure there's some other characters probably, but Striker was just the first example I know that this come up with quite often. And now this is something that's definitely fixed for her. Now, moving on to the character balance changes. Starting off with Berserker, he has 2 new awakening effects. The first one being he now gains HP first before he starts to recover gray life. So before, he used to recover his gray life and it actually used to mess up his confirms, because he needs this in order for him to do his conversion stuff. So now he actually just retains the gray life even though he is still gaining the health. So you see the gray life is still there and he is able to retain it as he does his combo. This allows him to still do his conversion stuff even though he is getting lower on life. This is a great buff for him, for allowing him to do his conversions when he's at low life. They also added an increased damage effect. So we look at this basic combo of just doing light, medium into S that does 170, and we take off awakening, that did 163. So you get about 7 more damage just for that basic 3-hit combo. So you can imagine the damage going up even more as he does these much longer combos that Berserker is known for doing. On top of this, Berserker actually does more white life chip damage. So when he's doing these special moves in your face and you're blocking these, be careful, because he will crank up the chip damage now. And once he gets that hit, he is definitely going to cash out on all that gray life that he's doing to you. Berserker JA also got an increased hit stun chain, so this allowed him to do his mix-ups along with pressing a better button than he had to do before. Just like that. So now he could go into his B button rather than having to press like A for like a faster normal, because the hit stun just wasn't there for him. His S got an expanded hitbox on top of having a better knockdown timing. So when he knocks down from the opponent from the air, they're just going to be on the ground much longer than they were before. Berserker's 2S is now going to be jump cancelable, which allows for new combo routes that definitely weren't there before. So it's definitely going to be a lot to explore here for Berserker. Talking about 2 changes at once here, Berserker's dive kick is going to have an effect where it actually can OTG the opponent now. And this is going to go very hand in hand with his now reduced recovery command grab. So when you actually command grab someone, this actually gives increased knockdown time and a reduced recovery on hit, which allows him to actually get these OTG combos off his command grab now. So getting hit by Berserker command grab, especially when he's in frenzy, is going to be way more scarier than it was before now, because of these combo routes he can now go for. Berserker is going to be able to use his fireball a little bit more than what he could before because of the reduced recovery, so he can choke this bad boy out a lot more faster than he could before now. And last but not least is Berserker's ability to actually get a meaty off his DP because of the new launch height that the opponent actually goes at. So because of this, he can actually get a meaty outside of the opponent actually being on the corner from his DP, which is definitely going to help him out tremendously. Now, if you're a fan of Vanguard, you'll be happy to know that this character has definitely been added into the game now. So right off the bat, talking about his awakening chain. So the first thing he has is an attack increase as well. So we take this basic combo here. It does 234, but with the buff on, it does 245. So you're definitely getting some more damage from actually being an awakening now due to the new awakening effect. They also added that he does more chip on block on MS moves as well. So when you're blocking him, he's definitely going to just be cranking out your actual white damage as well. So you're going to be having a lot of great life on top of, you already know he does more guard damage when he's awakening. So he's going to be doing more guard damage, be doing more damage on top of doing more white life, gray life damage to you as well. So this becomes very scary very quickly once all this start to add up. Now, interesting change that happened for him and a few other characters that we're going to talk about is the reduced hurt box on their crouching guard. So this was something that Striker could definitely take advantage of because they were just taller. She actually had access to an instant overhead. So no longer can she actually do jump back JM into dive kick and has been an instant overhead combo for her. She can no longer do this on characters like Vanguards and a few others we're going to talk about a little bit later. Now, another crazy change for Vanguard is going to be his 5B. So his 5B is going to have reduced recovery on it now. So you're going to be getting punished for using this move a little bit less, but it actually can OTG now. So we take something like just his JMS right here, and then we press 5B, you'll see it says ground attack. You can actually launch the opponent back off the ground from his 5B now. This is going to allow for some very unique combo situations and different combos that he was able to do before, because usually he had to use this, but no longer does he have to actually rely on that. He can now use 5B. This is going to go very important to something we're going to talk about a little bit later. Vanguard 2S is now going to be able to be jump cancel like a lot of other characters now, so he's going to have access to jump cancel combos. This is definitely going to help out his routes a lot, so he's going to be able to just go crazy with this now. This is going to be absolutely insane for this character. He's just going to have more easy access to better conversions than he had before. Now, one of the craziest changes to Vanguard is going to be the way his MS works now. So the way his MS works now, which is this move right here that does the 2 hits, it has a multitude of follow-ups. However, you can immediately cancel into any of the follow-ups you want by just spinning the additional meter that it additionally costs, just like that. So if you want the giant staff from full screen and you have the meter for it, you can just spin and get that. You want to get the shoulder tackle instead, you can just get the shoulder tackle. You don't have to wait until after the 2 slashes come out before you can go into the move that you want. So if you want access to other moves that are important to you, like say, like I said, the shield badge, because that has the projectile involved, you can get that as soon as you want. So this is going to give him better access to his tools outside of having to wait for this move right here. So he doesn't even have to connect with that. He can harass at different ranges or get access to other tools way easier now. Vanguard also going to have a bunch of other reduced recoveries as well. So this is going to have reduced recovery, and he's going to get access to the projectile invincibility much faster. So he's going to be able to get the combos from it, and he's going to get access to the projectiles from it a lot quicker, projectile invul from it a lot quicker. His back MS is also going to have reduced recovery on this, so you're going to be able to use this a little bit more. And also his forward MS is also going to have reduced recovery. This also is going to have a wall bounce. So wall bounce on the second hit now. So this is going to allow him to extend his combos even more, and expanded the knockback range on the second hit. So it knockbacks even further, which means he can get access to that wall bounce from either further away now. So he doesn't have to be as close to the wall as he used to before. Now he's going to be able to knock back into the wall a little bit easier now because of the additional knockback. Vanguard's back MS is going to be absolutely crazy now. So this is going to have reduced recovery on top of removing the upper hurt box. That means this is going to be a legit crazy anti-air on people now. So if someone's jumping at you and you don't want to deal with it, this is the button to press, because there is no hurt box to hit on that man. You could be really deep in him and it's just nothing to hit. Like he is just going, like there is nothing there. And of course, this is going to launch higher than it did before, which is going to allow him to extend and do a lot more crazier things than he did before. And of course, the change we all said this character needed, he finally have a real DP. So yes, his DP can now hit people when they are actually doing stuff simply like that. Now, it does still have a weird thing where if he's not close enough, it will still whiff. He has to make sure like they're on him like this to actually hit when he is actually trying to use it, like just in pressure for some reason, if he's ever trying to do that. But if a person is throwing out a button and he's doing it, you're pretty much guaranteed to hit them now, long as they aren't like at a crazy distance where you could get hit and they can't. Like it hits very well now. You see, like even at ranges like this, it is pretty much able to hit this character. It is very good DP now. And the final change of why I was saying his new 5B is going to be really good is the fact that JMS can now be dash cancel. Yes, you could dash cancel this. So because you can do that, you can just pick up with 5B now. So he is now going to have brand new routes, because when you actually go into this, you just pick up with 5B. So his combo routes are going to change drastically. He probably has a bunch of new optimals now. I'm pretty sure the community of Vanguard are going to be finding out a lot of new tech with this character. All right, so next up, some of you lovers, some of you hater, it is Striker. So Striker got some pretty unique changes this time around as well. Right off the bat, the first thing we got to talk about is the guard gauge damage increase. So when Striker is in Awakening, it's like you didn't get more guard damage, because the guard gauge is now going to crank even faster now when she's in this. And you may notice another change. She does more chip damage on block now. So because of this change, they really wanted her to be a one-touch character. So just to demonstrate what I mean, before she used to be able to almost kill you. Now if she gets a guard break, she is pretty much guaranteed to kill you. And pretty much you can guess that's all she wrote from there. So this has allowed her to basically do really good one touches. So before, she didn't do enough white life to actually kill off of it. She'll get like 80%, 90%. But now with the additional white life and the help of cranking down your guard gauge even faster now, this is going to allow her to actually one-shot just about almost the entirety of the cast, minus like Crusader because of his buff. Another crucial change to Striker is that forward MS can actually be whiff cancel into special moves now. So she could just go for something like this. So if she needs a further reaching low, she could do that now. If she needs to get through a projectile really fast, she could do that now. So she could just come through it just like this. She could just go into all her special moves off of it on whiff now. This is going to be very good for her to close the distance on opponents even better than she could before. Striker 4S also has reduced recovery on it, but I don't think this really amounts to much, considering that you're always going to cancel into this from something else anyway. It was -9 before. You don't know how minus it is now, but it's going to be a little bit more less minus than that now. But once again, it's always something you usually just cancel something into anyway, so it really is not that big of a deal. Striker's new airwalk change, which is dive kick, actually got better because it now bounces the opponent harder on the ground. So this allows her to do unique things that she wasn't able to do before, like setting up meaty versions of this. And this meaty is really crazy because it actually can bait DPs. So we take this Striker recording here, she's actually going to do 1-inch punch after the dive kick, and it's actually going to be a meaty right here. And as you know, that is actually going to be plus. However, if I take the same recording and I actually do a DP here, then you'll notice that I actually am going to get punished because she is actually able to block it as well. So it's a meaty that's fast enough to actually recover to bait DPs. Now, I haven't tested every DP in the game yet, but there are quite a few DPs that I tested that this actually can bait. Striker's 5 MS is actually going to be able to be jump cancel now, which allows her to get meterless confirms that weren't there before. So say if she had no meter and all she had was this left, then pretty much she really couldn't do nothing, or she would have to just settle for doing something like this. So she could do this into this, and like she really didn't have too much that she could do as far as like a good extension off of this mid screen. In the corner, of course, if you got hit by this, there were extensions we could do. We usually just did like a link 5 light, and we were able to go for a combo from there. But now, because we can actually jump cancel this, she gets a full on confirm from this, and it's one of her better confirms because it has really good proration on it, so she could go for her full extension here. So this is going to be very good for this character because she's actually just going to get more damage opportunities because of the new jump cancel. So on top of all of this, Striker also has 2 new dash cancels. Yes, we talked about dash cancels on a few other characters, but she has some as well, and these gets absolutely crazy. So the first one is going to be off shoulder tackle. So she could guard cancel this, or not guard cancel, but dash cancel this on a hit now. And this is going to help her out with certain confirms. So we take like this little block string from launcher here, where she does this. It was kind of hard to actually get over there without conversion to actually get a combo. As you can see, it's kind of hard. You try to get them, and it's just kind of difficult to get over there. Sometimes you can get it, sometimes you can't. But now with the new dash cancel, you have way more than enough time to get over there and then some. So it's almost like you have too much time now, but I am not complaining about this. This makes her conversion ability off of this even better. So not only do you have the ability to go through projectiles easier with something like this, so you can close the distance much faster, but now you can even dash cancel the hits and make the conversion even easier for you to get now. Now, I am not a developer, so I don't know why they gave her this last thing, but she can now dash cancel the 1-inch punch on block. So what this allows her to do is it allows her to set up true block strings. Yes, you heard me right. So I have launcher here mashing buttons frame 1 after she blocks something. So before, when you used to block this, you know, you could press something. Obviously, sometimes you'll get counter hit, sometimes you'll probably trade or something, but you know, you could press something and something would come out. But now with the dash cancel, she just gets true block strings. As you can see, she was not able to press anything. That is just a true block string now. So with this, accompanied with the other chains that I was telling you about, where she can actually do this as a meaty now and bait DPs, along with the changes of how much damage she's going to be doing to your guard damage on top of the white life change when she's an awakening, and you can understand why this gets really crazy really fast. So they really want her to be like the one-shot character when she's an awakening. If she's an awakening and she does this to you and you do not have the meter, you are dead, just straight up. She is killing you. So she is even much more scary in awakening now than she's ever been before because of these changes combined. Moving on to Grappler, he actually has a crazy new awakening effect, and the fact that he could cancel his charge MP skills into other MP skills. He also has an added defense increase, and he could cancel his DP, his counter, which is basically his DP, into other special moves a little bit quicker than he could, say, like jump. So if I try to press jump and I hold up, look how much longer it takes for that to come out, rather than if I actually just do this and then press that happens a lot more quicker. So there's still like a downtime, but there is a much faster opportunity rather than trying to actually wait for the entire recovery and either jump or press a button. So canceling into something is just going to be a little bit faster for him. Showcasing the charge MP skill cancels, he basically got custom combos at this point. He could just keep going. As long as he got the meter, he could just keep bringing on the hurt and just keep going, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. He can just keep dwindling your health down until he gets enough down until where he could basically just super down pretty much. It's absolutely crazy. Grappler's 2A is going to launch the opponents higher when it's hitting an airborne opponent, and his 2S is actually going to have extended untech time. So it's going to be much longer until they actually get tech, pretty much down like to the ground almost. He also is going to have ground bounce on his JS. So his JS is going to actually have ground bounce on it. I guess this helps him to where he can actually sort of do stuff like he can do stuff like this, do that, and maybe like run under you or something. I don't know exactly what the actual 2A change is supposed to be for him, but it does launches the opponent higher and allows him to run under opponents now. Maybe that's for resets or maybe it's for certain combos. I'm actually not quite sure, but he does have that. If you were getting punished for your Air Steiner attempts, which is his back S, his 4S, you don't have to worry about getting punished as much because they reduce the landing recovery on both versions. So the hold version and the regular version both have reduced landing recovery on these. Standard MS is going to be a better tool overall. Is going to have increased block stun, is going to have reduced damage scaling, so it's going to do more damage in combos, and the second hit now launch higher, so you got more combo opportunities after it hits. His 2MS, which is his counter, got the counter hit actually timing moved up, which means it's actually moved up to like frame 1 now. So no longer do you have to worry about people just putting meaties on you and then your counter just getting beat out. If you actually get this out, it's pretty much, I believe, frame 1 now. So yeah, it's a real counter. The only thing you got to worry about still is it still lose the lows. So that's just the one thing you just got to keep in mind. It still lose the lows, but if it's not a low attack, if it's just a crouching button, they'll still lose. So yeah, he actually has a real counter that will counter mids and highs now. Keeping to talk about his standard attacks being better. I mean, we talked about his back S standard being better. We talked about his JS standard being better. We talked about this standard being better. He has another better standard, which is going to be his shoulder tackle, his forward MS. This is going to have reduced recovery on a counter hit, is going to launch the opponent much higher. So as you can see, they get launched super high on counter hit. And yeah, you basically just get really nice follow-ups on this now. So just making it overall to where he has more access to these. You don't always have to rely on the big charge, the big slow one. You know, he can actually just do the ones that are faster, but still get some pretty good reward on these hits now. It's not the only one that's also going to have reduced recovery. This one is also going to have reduced recovery on it as well. So the hold one also got some love as well. The counter hit on this was already big, so they didn't change that, but you get the big counter hit on the slow one. The hold one is also going to have reduced recovery on this as well. They didn't change anything about the counter hit. This already had a big counter hit, but you know, the standard one didn't have this giant counter hit like it has now. But the hold one is also going to have the reduced recovery. Grappler's 4MS is going to have increased knockdown time, so he's going to have more time to actually go for what he wants. And this version right here is going to have less recovery. So the hold version of this is going to have less recovery in the air. So he's going to have more time to actually land and not get punished. So going for these sort of like risky things or things that are like guesses for him are going to be less risky for him just because of the reduced landing recovery or recoveries on a lot of his tools overall. Now moving on to Ranger, I guess they said his awakening skill is already good enough. I mean, he does put 3 debuffs on you, so all they essentially did for his awakening effect, his new one, is that they increased the debuff duration on it. So that's simply all he got for that. Now the other changes he got are really good to his 5A and crouching A. Ranger's 5A can actually be dash cancel now, so this isn't going to be plus, but it can actually help out some combo opportunities in tandem with his crouching A, which now has reduced startup and reduced recovery. So there are points in time in Ranger's sort of game plan where he'll hit you with like a 5A and he'll be at a distance like this, but he won't be able to get that last hit into something like that. But now, because he can sort of dash cancel, he can do stuff like this. So he can 5A dash cancel, go into the 2A, 2B into the 2S, and allow him to get the confirm that he was trying to get before. Now made it easier because he could get a little bit closer with the dash 5 cancel. Another change for Ranger is that his 6S can actually do OTGs now. So if he gets the opportunity to actually go for something like this, he can actually get a off the ground attack with his 6S. Forward S is also going to be able to be jump cancel on the first hit. This could happen on a hit or a block now. So this is going to allow him to actually utilize some of his tools a little bit better, maybe create some space off of his pressure, because when he actually does JS airborne, he actually has access to faster recovery. So he has easier follow-ups, so he can sort of throw it into like a JMS now a lot easier than he could before. So if he wants to go for something like that, he can do that a little bit easier, or he can just come down with the shots a little bit easier, something to like create space. So he's able to play around with these tools a lot better than he could before. 4MS is going to be able to be canceled into JMS now, and JMS is also going to cause a crumple effect just like the other one used to. So as you can see, that actually causes a crumple effect just like forward MS actually does. So both of these actually causes this effect now, and this probably allows for some much easier confirms than he had before. Now it's time to talk about Launcher, who I consider one of the big winners of this patch. First, talking about her awakening effects, she now has increased attack. So we take a look at the damage from this basic combo. That did 114, and she's not in awakening, it did 104. So she got 10 extra damage from that basic confirm, and you imagine as the combos get longer, that damage will actually start to matter a lot more. So if you don't know, Launcher's main thing was she did more white life to you when she was in awakening, right? So the white life just cranks up, but now on top of this, she actually cranks your guard gauge a lot faster too. So when she's in awakening, your guard gauge starts to go down a lot more too. So now she's really going to make it hurt, because if you get guard broken along with the white life that she's going to be doing to you, you're going to be in a world of hurt, and she's going to do a lot of damage with all the new confirms we're going to talk about she got now. Standard A is going to have more increased hit stun and extended the untech time. So this actually is going to allow her to actually get confirms from much further away. So now this combos a lot further away than it did before. So now you're going to be able to get these confirms a lot easier, right? So these combos are going to be a lot more consistent compared to how they used to be before. You would hit, and then like, you know, the other hit wouldn't like work that well off this. So you're kind of relying on the 5AA in order to go into something, but not so much anymore. 2A got mega buffed in the fact that they reduced the recovery, reduced the startup, increased the hit stop duration, they increased the hit stun, extended the attack time, and it can now be followed up by standard A. So now you don't have to just do 2A into like say back 4S. You can now do 2A into 5A. So now you can go into your low, into your main tool right here, your 5A. So you can do this into this. Like, you just have a lot more possibilities along with the reduced recovery and reduced startup. This is just a better tool overall as far as a button you could constantly more press. JA is going to have reduced recovery, which is going to help in some of her new combos, as well as this launch the opponent higher, which is also going to help in some of the combos that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Launcher's 5B, which is the flamethrower move, have access to MS moves now. So you can actually spin meter off of this now, which is going to, once again, increase her confirmability. Crouching B, which is a grenade, got even scarier because now you could cancel into all your S buttons. So you cancel this into slide, you cancel this into up, rockets, you cancel that into standard 5S, you cancel this into 6S. Like, you just got access to all your S buttons off of this. It's absolutely crazy. So now you have more control. You know, you throw out a grenade, they already jumping, oh, anti-air them. Like, you just have so much more control of the screen with this ability to actually cancel this tool now. Launcher's JB M137 is going to have an expanded hitbox, and 2S is going to be mega buff with them removing the upper body hurt box, and is able to be jump canceled now. So you can actually jump cancel this tool on hit now. Just showcase what this looks like along with the actual reduced hurt box. So there's nothing to hit there no more. When she does this move, the hurt box that is there is no longer there. So she pretty much has like upper body invul when she's doing this move. You cannot really hit her. So she could do this really late and still hit you, and she doesn't have to worry about this trading. And like I said, this does have access to jump cancels now, which gives her even better confirms than she had before. As you can see, the combos you can get from 2S get absolutely insane now. So this character is looking Omega buff with this 2S buff. This is going to help her out tremendously as far as just keeping the way she wants to play. She wants to stay at this distance when she wants to play at this distance, and now she can actually make it hurt for when you actually try to actually get over her tools. 4S is going to have reduced knockback distance on top of 6 MS, actually can be connected on knockdown opponents. This is a really good situation for her because this now means she can now confirm off of this. So she can now do actual full screen conversions. As you can see, it gets absolutely crazy because she actually just has this ability to OTG, and because it's keeping her closer due to the reduced knockback, she actually just has way easier confirms than she had before, or just better conversions than she had before altogether. As you saw me utilize in the 2S jump combo, JS now has increased hit stun, reduced landing recovery, and has been adjusted to untechable. So if you do something like this, because they're untechable, you can actually get the ground attack to work like that. So you don't have to do the combo I was just showcasing, but just showcasing other different things. Because it is untechable, you can now utilize that off the ground attack with the 6 MS to actually go for different confirms that just wasn't there at all before. Launcher's DP is also going to be better on hit now because of the reduced recovery, and it launches the opponent higher, which means she got more frame advantage. It's still hard for her to get over there to do a proper meaty, but she can at least set up and start doing things a lot better than she could before after hitting a DP. And the last two big changes is back MS actually having reduced MP calls. So this now only calls about like 40 meter, as you can see, and this actually does more minimum damage. So you do this in combos a little bit later, it actually just going to do more of the damage than it did before. So it's going to be more damage all around. And because of the reduced MP cost for this right here, you can actually just use this in combos a lot more than you could before. So you can kind of just loop this tool a little bit more than you could before. It's a little bit funny. Yeah, you can just get more loops and a lot more damage than you could before because of the reduced MP cost on this. Now, talking about Inquisitor, so her new awakening effects is she has guard break resistance, so it's going to be harder to guard break her when she's in awakening, and she has increased movement speed. So this girl now is just moving, like she is extremely fast. When she has this, you can see like how fast and quick the backdash, how far it goes, and her movement speed, like she is able to zoom across the screen now with this new movement speed buff. She also got a lot of reduced recoveries on a lot of her normals. So her 2A is going to have reduced startup and reduced recovery. 5B is also going to have reduced recovery. 5S is going to also have reduced recovery. 2S is also going to have reduced recovery. 6S now has the ability to be canceled into MS skills. So now you can do things like this. So, you know, you think you're coming in and you just back off with something like this, which is really cool. Or you can sort of come in with the will if you want to. Or, I mean, if you really want to be, you know, that guy or that gal, you can just come in with the DP or whatever off of it, you know, to really set the statement. It's just the fact that she can now do various MP skills off of the 6S is really cool. Speaking of being able to do new things, the 4MS is going to actually be able to be canceled into this. This is going to be very good because this allows for confirms that weren't there before to now just be possible. So now you can put the enchantment on the character, but also still get a confirm off of it, right? So this is going to be something that's going to help out a lot in certain combos, is allowing you to get that on along with actually getting the ability to actually just go for a combo route. So as you can see, you can utilize the actual enchantment buff a lot better than you could before, and allowing you to get more damage opportunities or combos that weren't actually easily accessible before, now much easier because of the actual buff change to being able to cancel this into this. Inquisitor dive kick can now be canceled into various MS skills a lot faster than she could before, and she has access to her 6 MS off of the tool now, so she has ability to do different confirms and have easier access to the confirms she previously had. And the last change for Inquisitor is the reduced recovery on this move right here. So this move was already very hard to punish. It goes extremely far, and when you do it very close to the ground like this, a lot of characters weren't able to punish this, but now it's going to have even more safety than it did before. So if you love this move, you're definitely going to love it a lot more now. Now, talking about Crusader, so his awakening effect is just enhancing the effects he already had. Now, he already gets 3 buffs, so they just enhance them all. If you don't remember what they are, it's increased defense, increased guard break resistance, and increase the white life damage recovery speed. So these are just going to be better than what they were before. Now, he also has the crouching hurt box reduction. This is going to allow for characters that was doing instant overheads like Striker. They're no longer going to be able to do it on him as well. He also has a reduced startup on his 2A and reduced recovery. So this move, which was already plus, is just going to be more plus than it was before. So he's going to be able to do things that he wasn't able to do before with this tool now, especially on block. So block strings are going to be a little bit different. He's going to be able to do a little bit different things on block strings, and it's going to just allow him to be just more plus. Crusader's JA is going to have reduced or landing recovery, which I don't think I've ever seen this used. His 5B is going to have reduced recovery on it, and his JB is going to have increased hit stun, as well as actually doing staggers on grounded counter hit. So to showcase what that would look like, that is what the stagger would look like if you actually get counter hit by his JB. Now, if you happen to be airborne versus Crusader when he does his JB, he actually calls it ground bounce effect. So he's able to actually off the ground you with his 5B and actually finish the combo from there. So you can continue the combo, and yeah, he just keeps going because you got anti-aired or air-to-air by JB, and now causes a ground bounce. So his confirmability is just gotten a lot better because of it. Crusader's 5S and JS are now going to be staggers upon grounded hit. This will allow him to do late confirms or allow him to do confirms that just weren't possible before. So if I hit with 5S, I can do this 6 MS way later than I could before. Like, look how much time he has to actually confirm into this tool. But not only this, but he actually is able to do confirms that just weren't possible. So as you can see, he can now do confirms that just weren't there for him before. And there's a whole bunch of possibilities and crazy things that people are coming up with these new buffs with his. Crusader is also going to have new cancels in the fact that he can actually go into his 6S from a lot of his normals. So his 2A can go into it, his 5A can go into it, his 5B, his 2B. Like, a lot of these normals can just go into 6S now, which is going to help him out a lot. So he got a lot of normals that can basically just go into it, as well as counter. So any normal that was going into his 6S can actually go into his counter as well. Keep in mind, even though the counter can probably be something that looks useful, it does still lose the lows, but it is something that he can actually do now. 5MS and JMS are also going to be buffed in the fact that JMS is actually going to have reduced landing recovery. So he's going to be able to toss these bad boys a lot better than he could before. And there was already techniques where you can actually get these and actually come across the screen doing this for full confirms. And 5MS is actually going to have his startup of his invulnerability against projectiles a lot faster. So when you actually press this, you're going to get the invincibility to projectiles a lot quicker than he did before. And the last buff for Crusader is going to be to his 4MS during the Grace buff. This is actually going to have reduced MP costs at 50 now, and is actually going to be easier to follow up afterwards because of the reduced recovery. So the combo doesn't end after you hit this. You can still keep going, and the party doesn't stop there. All right, so talking about Swiftmaster, everybody's favorite character, right? So he has a brand new awakening effect that says various MP skills can now be canceled into Wind Orb. So if you do a MP skill, you can cancel it into Wind Orb. And Wind Orb has a new effect where you can cancel this immediately into Stormquaker. So if we do Wind Orb, this is what happens if you cancel it into Stormquaker, just like that. It's also going to have reduced MP cost on top of as well. But because he has various MP skills that can be canceled in this, he actually has easy access to DP combos. Just like that. So you can imagine this new awakening effect is pretty crazy with the ability to now combo off DP for him as well. Swordmaster also got a few nice other changes here, with JB actually having increased hit stun and block stun here. The 6S is actually going to be able to be jump cancel on the first hit of tornado. Now, even though the first hit of tornado hits, it has to be pretty close up. So like from this distance, he won't be able to do it. It has to be actually kind of close for him to actually get the jump cancel. Swiftmaster Jump S actually has an extended hitbox, so it just hits a lot better than it did before. So it is going to be just a better tool, much easier to actually convert with. And the startup of 4MS is actually going to be able to be canceled into the Vortex Hurricane now. So no longer do you have to wait until the whole thing comes out. You can just immediately cancel into it. And if you do it in the air, the recovery apparently is going to be shortened. Now, moving on to Enchantress, her new awakening effects is the fact that she can actually recover her white life damage much quicker, and that she actually has MP recovery speed. The MP recovery speed is definitely going to be nice because this character uses a lot of meter, because when she goes into mad, the meter just slowly drains over time. But remember, the first one that she has is when she's actually in awakening, the meter that is spent for having mad out is actually going to be reduced. So you don't spend as much meter when he's actually out during awakening. Enchantress dodge actually got buffed and normalized in the fact that it actually has reduced recovery, and the vulnerability on it is now going to be, just like the other characters, is actually going to be frame 1. So she actually has access to her teleport a lot better than it was before. A big change for Enchantress is 2S actually is now going to be able to be jump canceled. Now they specifically say when Enchantress hits. So if Matt is the one doing the hit, if we do this and Matt actually does a hit, I cannot jump cancel that attack. So if Matt hits, you can't jump cancel it. It has to be Enchantress that actually hits you, and then it can be jump canceled. Keep in mind, this tool can actually be jump cancel on block as well. And if you know Enchantress, you'll know why this tool is very good, because she has access to overheads that she could do by canceling into Mad very quickly. So she could cancel into him and then do overheads by basically counter canceling the fireball into Mad and able to get jump cancel. So she can do something like this. Just like that. So she has access to some pretty fast overheads. And remember, she doesn't have to do the overhead. She could just go low off of it as well. So you have to guess between these two different versions of attacks she got, because she can now jump cancel this tool. It's going to get absolutely crazy with Enchantress because of that. Enchantress Jump S is going to have reduced landing recovery, which is going to help her for some confirms, as well as making herself a little bit more safer when using the tool. And Forward MS is going to have reduced recovery, increase the minimum damage in combos because it's a good ender for her, and it's going to launch the opponent higher with extended untech time. This is going to allow her to run in afterwards or set up afterwards a little bit better than she could before. And the last big change for Enchantress is during showtime, which is when Matt is out. When she press down MS, this is going to have increased knockdown time. So this is going to allow her to follow up much easier than she could before. And yeah, she just basically is going to have more time to actually do things that she was doing before. Moving on to Kunoichi, her two new awakening effects is that she's going to have increased movement speed. So she's going to be faster all around like the ninja she is. And she's going to do more chip damage to you. So when you're blocking these MS skills, you know, it's going to be definitely cranking up a lot more than it did before. So definitely blocking her when she is in awakening is going to be a lot more scarier now. Kunoichi is also going to have access to some brand new follow-ups. So 6S is now going to be able to go into 4S now. So you can throw the kunai and then teleport. And you're going to actually get the invincibility from doing 4S a lot sooner than you did before. 5S is actually going to be canceled into 2S. And 2S can actually be canceled into J2S now. And if you actually hit with this, you can actually jump cancel this now. Just showcase what this looks like on hit. That's the new cancel from that. And there's the new jump cancel from that. So she's going to have access to probably some new confirms that weren't there for her before. And also probably making some of her confirms a little bit more easier to manage. And the last thing I almost forgot to talk about is the J2S itself actually has reduced recovery and reduced landing recovery. So this tool is just going to be better overall. Now, talking about Ghostblade, his new awakening effects is that he got a movement speed buff. So when he's in awakening, he's going to be able to backdash further and run into the opponent faster when he is actually inside of awakening. He's just going to be a faster character. Also, he's going to crank down that guard gauge much quicker because his guard gauge damage has been increased when he's also in awakening as well. Ghostblade 5S has been made to where all the hits actually connect now and there is no gap on it. So before, the last hit actually had a gap and you can roll it or DP through it and stuff like that. That is no longer going to be the case. This is actually a true block string now for this character. And also, his 2S is now going to be able to be canceled into his actual DP motion, which is his teleport. So you can actually cancel into this, and this is going to give him confirms that weren't there before. Also, this is just going to have naturally reduced recovery. So as you can see, he can now go into teleport and actually get a confirm that wasn't there. So no longer does he have to rely on the counter hit to actually confirm this or use conversion. He can just confirm this whenever he gets a touch, go into teleport, and go from there. The last hit of his 4S can actually be canceled into MS moves, and this actually just gives him more confirms again that he didn't have before. So now when you actually hit somebody with this tool, which is going to be a cross up, you actually can confirm it now. So that's actually pretty cool. 5MS is going to have extended untech time, so confirming this is going to be a little bit easier, and the follow-up can actually be canceled into his teleport as well. So his DP, his teleport, actually can be canceled into this as well. This is going to give him a bit of safety. So if you happen to misjudge your confirm, you can just retreat back for some extra MP and actually be safe from there. Also, speaking of his teleport is going to have reduced recovery, so acting out of his teleport is just going to be faster than it was before. So this would definitely catch people more off guard than it ever did. Now, talking about Hitman, this one's pretty funny because he has no awakening effects. They was like, yeah, he is good on that department. Y'all, you got this. Y'all good. Y'all don't need nothing else, bro. This thing does mad chip. It does everything in the world, gives him mad good combos. He don't need anything. Hitman is also going to have a reduction on his hurt box when he is crouching as well. So once again, he is also going to be harder to actually hit with instant overhead type stuff. But a few changes that Hitman got: his 2B can actually launch the opponent higher, so this made some confirms a little bit more consistent, a little bit easier to do. And his 2S can actually be jump cancel now. So yeah, he has jump cancel confirms. I'm pretty sure this is going to allow for some different combo routes that weren't there before now to be available. And yeah, his JS also has extended untech time, so he's going to be able to follow up after this a little bit easier than he could before. And his 4MS, this move right here, is going to actually launch the opponent higher, so he's going to have a better opportunity to actually combo after this tool. Just like that. So he's going to have more opportunities to actually combo at this tool, and with the reduced recovery, they just made it a little bit more easier in that department as well. Troubleshooter actually got a pretty interesting effect in the fact that his MP skills can now be canceled into the second hit of his get on fire, which is this giant big blast attack right there. So the second attack is the thing that's actually going to come out. So we just look at some of these, so you can cancel into it from that. You can cancel into it on the last hit of this one, like that. And of course, this can just cancel to it by itself, of course, naturally. But also the big thing, of course, we got to talk about, his DP can now cancel into it as well. So yes, he also have access to DP combos now. Troubleshooter's 2A is going to be a much better button now with the reduced startup and the reduced recovery on it. So he's now going to be able to press this button much faster than he could before. Forward S, his 6S is now going to be able to be canceled into the drink. So he actually get the buff from drink. Remember, drink is going to give him white life on top of giving him a damage buff. So now he's going to be able to utilize that a little bit better than he could before. And now he also have access to jump cancel, so he can now do jump cancel combos off of his 2S. So he can do something like this, and yeah, he can pretty much just go from combos from that. The last change for Troubleshooter is that his 4MS is going to have reduced recovery when he's in awakening. So this is probably going to allow for some much easier confirms that were there but probably hard to do. Just probably making those confirms a little bit easier with this tool. Talking about Dragon Knight, she got some pretty interesting things as far as her buffs went. First, talking about her awakening effect, she's going to have a damage increase, so she's going to do more damage when she's in awakening, and she's going to have the ability to actually gain her white life faster when she is actually in awakening. Dragon Knight's 5B and 2S are now going to be able to be jump cancel on hit and block. This is going to allow her to actually do, you know, even more crazier mix-ups now. So you got to worry about her jump canceling her normals on hit or block now for either combo extensions or for more mix-up extensions, just to reset her pressure and stuff like that. Now, going to get even crazier with that. 6S can now be whiff canceled into her JS, so this is going to allow her to fly across the screen with fireballs now. This is going to be absolutely ridiculous. She could just get over there from full screen away to throw a fireball at you, so she could just cover angles a lot better than she could before. And the first hit of her 4S can actually be canceled into 4S as well, so it's another way for her to actually go into different pressure situations than she could before. 6MS has increased knockdown time on counter hits, so if you thought she could get over there in time before, she could definitely get over there in time now. And the last change for Dragon Knight is going to be of Astra B, so the Dragon Breath is actually going to knock the opponent further away, and it's also going to have a damage increase. And last and certainly not least is Lost Warrior. So Lost Warrior is going to have the crouch hurt box reduction as well, so no longer is she's going to be able to get instant overheaded by things like Striker, Jump Back B, so that's not going to be a thing anymore. He's also going to have two new awakening effects. He's going to have an added defense effect, so he's just going to have more defense. It's going to be harder to kill, and added guard break resistance, so you're going to be guard breaking him much less, and he's going to have more defense. So this is just going to make him much more of a tank once he's inside of awakening mode. Lost Warrior got the much needed change of his 5A actually being reduced startup and reduced recovery, so he can press his button much quicker and the recovery is just better for him overall. He definitely needed that. Lost Warrior's 2S is also going to be jump cancelable, and he actually got a new move, which is Jump S. So this is the cross up, his 5S, but in the air. And yes, it is still a cross up. So if you are standing and he does this in the air, you still have to actually respect this tool. It is still a cross up, even though he is in the air. So this is going to allow for new combos that just weren't there before because he has a new tool. So yeah, he's definitely going to have new conversions for sure. And the last two changes for Lost Warrior, his 5MX is actually going to be able to be jump cancel a lot faster than it could before. So this is probably going to allow for different combo opportunities or just much easier confirms than he had before. His 2S, which is his counter, actually got buffed like the other ones, is going to be frame 1. So he's going to have frame 1 protection from mids and highs. But keep in mind that all these actually do still lose the lows. So if you try to do a counter, it will hit you right off the bat as soon as you press it. But if you try to do it and a person just simply goes low, then you will still lose. So they didn't do anything about that part, but they are frame 1, mid, and high protection. And that pretty much covers all the big changes for Dnf Duel that came in this balance patch. Let me know down in the comments below who you think are the biggest winners of the patch. Also, let me know which characters you are excited to try out because of the balance patch itself. I know I am definitely going to be playing a lot more Launcher than before. As always, like anything I had to say, drop me a like, I greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, follow my socials. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn notifications so you know the next video goes live. As always, my name is Dyken, and I'll see you next time. Signing out.